Maybe I shouldn't even consider it a New Year's resolution because it was after January the 1st. Good morning, everyone, and it is literally morning. What is it, January 5th, January 6th, something like that, and I have already broken my New Year's resolution. What was my New Year's resolution, you ask? I guess you could consider this a New Year's resolution. My New Year's resolution was not to make a New Year's resolution. If you don't make a New Year's resolution, I guess you've resolved not to make a New Year's resolution. Maybe about 3 or 4 days ago. Maybe I shouldn't even consider it a New Year's resolution because it was after January the 1st. I decided something. Let me tell you a little bit about how this decision happened. I've been vegan now for a couple months. I woke up one morning anyway, and I had this taste in my mouth, and kind of tasted like all the processed foods. And I tasted that processed taste in my mouth, and I said, oh my gosh, I really want something fresh. Just to me, looking at a squash, it's just kind of boring. It looks like a squash, and there you go. And it's like, honestly, I never really knew what to do with it. Just to get something that was different. I wanted that impact. I wanted that impact of nutrition, that really good living taste. I wanted something powerful, trying to figure out what to do. So I look up all these raw recipes, and they involve blenders and knives that cut really well. I get out my very weak blender and my very weak food processor, and I say cooking for myself. It's not really cooking necessarily, it's preparing, and I prepared a really great meal and dressing on top that you would put in a blender and chop up and then put over your food. And it was so good and so nutritious, and I felt so good eating that thing that was fresh and not cooked, that I did it again, and then I did it again, and I pretty much ate raw the entire day. So the next morning I woke up. This is the resolution part. I resolved to myself that I was going to eat one raw meal a day. Anyway, it's been a couple days now, and I think I've snuck more than one raw meal. I have decided that as much as I can get in raw, that's what I'm going to do. I still have my foods that I've cooked. I've got some of them frozen. I have started to prepare my own food. Just the freshness. By tasting all this really wonderful, beautiful, fresh food, it was just great. Well, I woke up the next day and I felt very, very good. I woke up the day after that, after sneaking as much raw in as I could, and I felt good again. And today I feel good. So with that being said, I pretty much resolved I am going to eat one raw meal a day, just because of the feeling that it gives me, just because of the life force, the prana, what have you, in that food. It just makes me feel so good. So that's my resolution. I'm going to eat one raw meal a day. When you get into like the raw vegan philosophy, and don't get me wrong, I'm not totally raw. I hear things about lycopene spiking the tomatoes with heat does release lycopene. Also, I think one of the philosophies with raw food, man began to develop and also cultivate grains. So grains really are not part of a raw diet. Or the thing that does make me kind of wonder about that is that eating seeds, and basically grains are the seeds of plants, and you pretty much have to cook them to get them going. I'm not sitting here disputing it really, but I'm just kind of wondering about it. This is what I brought for lunch. If you can see it here, it's just a bag of celery, and before I'd go, ooh, gross, a bag of celery, but look at that beautiful green color. Look at that green color. You cannot get that anywhere else. I could go cook like a piece of fake meat or something like that, and it just wouldn't have that color and that freshness and that snap and all the really wonderful qualities that celery has. And this is why I did do the preparation. It really has given me a newfound appreciation for celery in its normal state. Whereas before I'd look at the celery and go, ew, maybe I'm just getting the urge for fresh vegetables because we've had winter slowly coming on. I've just been studying the raw foods, and there are raw foods that I would love to actually cook, like crackers, things that you would need a dehydrator for. Well, of course, I don't have the money for a dehydrator, but I'm going to figure out a way to make these. I don't have the money for a Vitamix. I know at some point I do have to replace my food processor and blender. It's pretty much one unit. It's a Cuisinart, and it was about the cheapest Cuisinart on the line. Anyway, they are getting battered. I don't think they were ever intended for everyday use. It was probably a thing that if you have a party, you can pull out the Cuisinart and it would make your life a little bit easier. And as I can get something else, I will, and I might spend a little more money for it. I don't know what I'm going to get yet. I don't think in the total scheme of things that Vitamix is even in my budget unless I were to save up for it. $600 blender, there's just no way. Maybe one of these days I'll become independently wealthy, but for now, that's not going to happen. Anyway, with all that being said, no, I haven't gone raw, but I have resolved to eat one raw meal a day, and that is working out so well. I just can't tell you the energy that I get from that, and it's beautiful food with all different kinds of colors in it. It's crunchy, it's fantastic. There are so many recipes that you can combine flavors and put them on top of each other, and it is just so fantastic. I'm on this journey now, as well as cooking too. My thing is to fill my freezer up so that when I do start to go back to work full time, I will have food in my freezer, and if I happen to spend a late day at work, I can just reach in the freezer and get something. But I guess the thing that I was going after is to get as many of the added ingredients out of my cooking as possible. I don't know how I identified that taste, but it was a very subtle taste that's in anything packaged. So if you want to break a New Year's resolution, my New Year's resolution resolving to not make a New Year's resolution. Another thing I want to bring up, I've decided, and I didn't know much about this, okay, it's Veganuary. That means a lot of people are actually taking up a vegan lifestyle in January. And I know just from my own experiences, sometimes that can be kind of hard. So what I wanted to do, and I'm going to do my very best, I want to post a recipe a day so that you don't feel so lost. I mean, it's pretty easy to look at a cucumber just like, ew, gross, I have to eat this thing. But just the way that I felt when I began, a lot of times your palate just feels so lost. It's just like, well, what do I eat now because I'm really limited? You may think you're limited, but oh my gosh, there is so much that you can actually eat. There is so much that you can prepare for yourself. There are so many things in the store to emulate things that you may have had before. They may not taste exactly like the meat you had, but if you're doing it for an ethical reason, I think that honestly, once you see the ethics of it, it's a lot easier, because it's just like, if I knew this, I would never eat an animal again. So my suggestion to you, watch a movie like Cowspiracy, watch a movie like Forks Over Knives, watch a movie like Earthlings. That'll give you the kick. Realize that, yes, all this does come from a basis of truth. If you're doing this for health reasons, realize that the step that you have taken is going to put you onto health that you have not realized before. You will have an immediate weight loss. You will clean the cholesterol out of your body. There's no vitamin or mineral in meat that you can't find in something else. And a lot of it is just a matter of finding it, just in case you're worried about a protein deficiency or something like that. If you go watch any of my videos, you will find out that doctors, even though they don't preach it, there are so many doctors out there that really, really applaud getting the meat out of the diet, getting the cheese out of the diet. Well, I'll just make a long story short. Yes, I ended up in the hospital. They needed to know what I wanted to eat. I told them vegetarian and said to myself, if they give me any kind of cheese or anything like that, I'll just pick it out. Well, my daughter was there and you told them, no, she's vegan. And I was happy about that because I didn't even want to bring that up to the doctors because I thought that was the reason that I had gotten sick. No, my body was responding to years and years of not living properly. I had so many doctors come in and applaud my choice to go vegan and get all meat products out of my life. So with that being said, I will see you very soon with quite a few tips that will get you through Veganuary. Thank you very, very much for watching and have a good day.